Good morning, everyone. Sam here. It's cold in my room. Ooh. United People's TV. It's Tuesday. It's the international break. It's going to be a long couple of weeks for Man United with the form that we're currently in and with the question marks surrounding Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, there's one thing I've reiterated throughout this entire process. Solskjaer is 100% safe in his job. And that has been double confirmed with everything that's happened in the last 24 hours. Mike Phelan signing a new contract. Kieran McKenna and Michael Carrick. Kieran McKenna and Michael Carrick both in talks with Man United over contract extensions as well. The club showing a real bit of faith in the coaching staff. Whether or not you agree that that's a right thing to do, we'll discuss that in the comments as we always do. But I'm going to speak about Phelan's new contract. I'm going to speak about Solskjaer's job. Going to speak about Carrick and McKenna. Going to speak about what they're doing in training with McTominay and with our whole squad. Going to be speaking about Fergie and his reaction to Ronaldo being rested against Everton. That's an important talking point. We're going to be speaking about Donny van der Beek and his future. And as always, I can see you in the comments. I can see Richie on Facebook with Craig Williams. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you both there. Me, I can see you on YouTube as well. Plenty of members down there. Chris, Takeoff, Thomas, and you're there regularly. Should join as a member, my friend. Get involved. But look, it's clearly going to be an interesting debate in the comments. It's always an interesting place. The comments here on United People's TV. As I said, I always try and encourage active conversation, proper interactivity. If you want to ask me any questions, fire in your comments, fire in your questions, fire in your super chats as well. Because the comments are so busy. I say this every day. I'm not lying. The comments are so busy. I do miss a lot of your questions. So if you really want to ask me something, fire any super chats. But let's get straight into the news. And this came out yesterday. Before I say this, I did a video yesterday. What did you think about it? I said changes needed at Manchester United. I spoke about the problems we've got. I spoke about Solskjaer. I spoke about our coaching staff. I spoke about our midfield. I spoke about the issues that I can clearly see. And they all related back to one key point for me, is that I didn't think Solskjaer's job was at threat yesterday, and Phelan signing that new contract has only proven that is the case. Phelan has signed a contract extension, official news from Manchester United that came last night. United assistant manager Phelan has extended his contract until June 2024. Phelan is going nowhere. Now, this is it an issue? I would say the timing of it is incredible, really. Given everything that's going on at Manchester United at the moment, for Mike Phelan to have signed that contract extension, it's a bit of a surprise at the moment. But there's one thing you have to understand about contracts is if the contract was signed here, then the conversations would have been going on for weeks, if not months. So clearly, this has always been going on behind the scenes. It's just that for it to be announced right now, it's a bit of an interesting timing, I would say. I don't know why I'm doing this accent, but yeah, Phelan is someone I really questioned in my video yesterday. I said, look, you've got Solskjaer, you've got McKenna, you've got Carrick, 3 young coaches, very inexperienced coaches. Both McKenna and Carrick have no experience outside of academy teams and coaching inside the club. Solskjaer's obviously had experience at Molde, had experience at Cardiff, but not had experience at the top level. He is learning at the top level right now. And Phelan is the man who bridges that gap. He's the man who has experience, years of experience under Fergie, years of experience under working at Manchester United. He's supposed to be the person who bridges that gap between the inexperienced coaches and what they need to learn on the job, if you know what I mean. I don't know whether he does that. I've always questioned whether he does that. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So I can't say here with absolute certainty that Mike Phelan is a shit coach. What I can say is that Manchester United's coaching looks bad, looks shit. On the pitch, the same problems that we're seeing a few years ago, the same problems that keep repeating themselves. So I think that our coaching certainly has to improve. So to see that coming yesterday kind of took me by surprise. Or I can see you in the comments, good morning to you, sir, or good evening to you, actually. You're saying I'm not expecting too much will change if the backroom staff isn't given a shake-up. Hope I'm wrong. If the club is loyal to Ole, Ole is loyal to them. I mean, yeah, there is a lot like loyalty that's going to go around. And it's, as I said, and this is why I didn't really understand the energy behind, not all of you in the comments here, some of you and some United fans, there was a serious amount of energy behind getting Solskjaer sacked. And I was like, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your energy. He's not going to be sacked. And Phelan signing that contract extension proves it. Because there's absolutely no way that United go and announce a contract extension for Solskjaer and then sack Solskjaer. All his staff get sacked. All his staff get bumper payouts. You'd think we'd learn from the mistakes that we made with contract extensions before. We certainly have with players. Maybe we haven't learned with coaches. Abby, what are you saying in the comments here? What's up, Sam? The cast and the supporting cast are not good, in my opinion. No tactical acumen and lots of improvement needed. They need to learn tactics fast, else the upcoming fixtures will show us up. You know what's really strange about the upcoming fixtures? Honestly, I think Freddie McTominay will probably have their best 6-7 game period of the season. They play better against elite level teams because the space, the energy and the intensity of the football matches their attributes. But for Manchester United here to give this contract extension to Mike Phelan, and as Simon Stone from the BBC is showing here, Man United are working on new contracts for Michael Carrick and Kieran McKenna. The faith remains, but clearly results shape the future for every United manager, for every manager in the world. Exactly. I'm surprised. Am I surprised? No, I won't be. I can't be surprised that Man United are in talks to give Carrick and McKenna contract extensions because we've just given Phelan one. And if we've given Phelan one, then why don't Carrick and McKenna deserve one? Look, I said my piece on the coaching yesterday. There's serious issues. Now, one thing that we have to understand here is just because we've given Mike Phelan a contract extension, just because we're in talks with Carrick and McKenna, it doesn't mean that we can't bring someone else in. And we need specialists. And I'm actually going to do a video on this at some point this week or next week. Solskjaer has improved Manchester United's attacking. All right. And I know that off the top of my head, but I can pull out stats to prove it. Over the last couple of years, we're scoring more goals. We're creating more chances in an attacking sense. Sure, we've signed new players and that's improved it, but he's definitely improved our attackers. And lo and behold, Solskjaer does that. He is an attacking coach. It's what he's grown up as. What he's not is a defender. And that's where his weakness lies. And that's why, in the same sense that we needed to get a set-piece coach in to help improve our set-piece defending, although we keep bloody conceding from counterattacks, that has to improve. Eric Ramsey came in the summer because of a weakness that we had. We have clear defensive weaknesses, and I don't think Solskjaer has the ability to coach it and improve it because it's almost got worse when Rafael Varane's been signed. It goes to show that the system is the problem, not the players. I don't think Solskjaer is capable of improving that defense enough to get us to where we need to be, and clearly Carrick and McKenna aren't. Otherwise, it would have already been improved. We need a specialist defensive coach to come in that particular role and plug a gap that clearly exists inside that coaching setup. Because if we're... look, I can see, Chris, you're saying, I don't think they will change it. I'm not saying that I think they will change it. I'm saying that you can supplement it. You can add to it. We clearly need specialist coaches in areas that we've got specialist weaknesses. And defense is such a huge oversight by the club. In the same way as not signing a central defensive midfielder was an issue this summer. It's a major issue now that we don't know really how to defend properly. And we've got a team that has Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Maguire, and De Gea. That's a back five that should be competing for the league, man. Not getting beaten 1-0 at home by Aston Villa and conceding goals from our own corners against Everton. Let me go down to the comments here and see what you're saying. You think things will change if we lose the derby, says Craig. I don't think anything will particularly change on the back of one result, if I'm being completely honest. But Man United got a hell of an October coming up, and there's no doubt that we need to improve. But it's one thing I do expect United to do is we will improve in these bigger games. We might come unstuck against the quality for sure, but watch how Manchester United's intensity and the flow of the football is probably better against these top teams because it's the mentality. We have that underdog mentality under Solskjaer, that natural underdog mentality. We're great in games where people aren't expecting us to do anything or win the game. In games where we're expected to win, we do have a sort of a natural failure, I would say, under Solskjaer. Bring in Zidane. No, thank you very much. Sam, you're talking about attack. Yes, Manchester United attacks are good, but defense and CDM are the worst. That's what I'm saying, man. It's what I keep saying. Look, There are aspects to Solskjaer's management and ability to coach which are good. And our attacking improvement over the last 3 years, for me, proves that. There are elements, fundamental weaknesses which are bad defensively, tactically. That's where he needs support and help. That's what I question whether the support network that we've got in the coaching setup that we have with Kieran McKenna, Michael Carrick, and Mike Phelan do that for him. I don't think they do. But Phelan's just signed the contract extension. So no matter what your feelings are on Solskjaer, and clearly there's obviously going to be, there's still going to be some negativity towards him and negativity towards United and the situation. Stop wasting your time, all right? Stop it. Solskjaer is not going to be sacked, all right? So what we all need to do now as Manchester United fans is try and say, right, okay, then where can we improve? What can we do? Let's try and identify these things in front of us that we can do, that we can improve on. That's why I'm going to be doing videos on the problem with McTominay and Fred. It was not as if anyone needs to know that, but I'm going to do a video on that. Might be speaking about Ronaldo and a bit of an issue I've got with re-signing Ronaldo, not with Ronaldo himself, but what it meant and what it maybe didn't do more specifically. Going to be speaking about Van der Beek and his future. Going to be speaking about Manchester United's coaching, hopefully speaking to a former coach very soon to get a bit of insight into that. There's no point just shouting Ole out and looking at potential replacements. We're not going to get any. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. Let me go down here in the comments. Albert watching from Romania. How you doing, Albert? Nice to see you. I agree our attack was good last season, but critically, look at this season's attack. Tactically, we are not good enough. And look, if you want to look at this season's attack, there's a stat here that will just look. Manchester United might not be playing the best of football at the moment. We are not. And I'll tell you what, our finishing has become really non-clinical, I think it would be fair to say. United have created the third most big chances in the Premier League this season. Only Liverpool and City have created more. So what we're seeing there is not really a failure for Manchester United to attack. It's a failure for Manchester United to convert. Now, I would say that's probably largely to do with the fact that we're not creating enough big opportunities. But still, we've created the third most behind Liverpool and City. There are definite positives that we can see. And I think that's where the frustration comes from. It's where the anger comes from. It's because when you see it, you're like, why can't you just do that more often? Why are we losing to Villa at home when we're beating Leeds 5-1 and beating Newcastle 4-1? What are we doing? It's the inconsistency. It's the swings. It's just like left and right, up and down. And that's where it comes from. That's where the anger. Or I can see you again here, my friend. What I don't understand is Carrick is one of the best midfielders ever. Ole is a super sub. Cannot get the simple fundamentals correct at times. Support the team, people. Now, look, if we're talking about Michael Carrick here, I thought this was an interesting snippet from The Athletic this morning. Oh, Akesh watching from Fiji. That caught my eye. How you doing, Akesh? This is on The Athletic. Manchester United's biggest weapon is also their kryptonite. Solskjaer needs a midfield that combats counterattacks. Really interesting article from Laurie Whitwell. And there's one key bit here that we need to talk about. And that's this. There. Michael Carrick and Kieran McKenna are working with McTominay on the discipline and passing required to operate as a sole sitter. But the game could be filed as evidence. Obviously, the game's just happened there against Villarreal. Game could be filed as evidence that further work is needed. McTominay's natural game. Lo and behold here, let me just say this straight before we go into it. McTominay is not a defensive midfielder. McTominay is a box-to-box midfielder. Everyone knows it. Everyone can see it. Everyone can, let's read it. McTominay's natural game is more dynamic, having originally coming through United's academy as number 10. When it comes to the other way, look, this stat here, let me pull this stat up here. This stat here, this is the problem. We know it's a problem here with McTominay and Fred, but if we're looking here at Premier League defensive duels. So this is, if you're looking at all the top-rated midfielders in the Premier League, not top-rated, but top percentage. Look, Basuma. We all spoke about Basuma. He's won 78% of his duels. Kante there, Rodri, Ruben Neves is up there. As I said, he's got a good defensive side to his game. Where's McTominay and Fred? Well, they're not there. Right, they're not. That's Fabinho. Oh, it's Fernandinho. That's Neves, Romeo, Højbjerg, Allen, Rice. Okay, Rice is there. Matic is there. Ndidi, Jorginho. No, not there either. We've Henderson there. Ward-Prowse, Joe Moutinho. Ah, there they are. McTominay and Fred are down there. Manchester United's two midfielders combined less than 50% each. They're winning their duels. 46% Fred has. Basuma has 78. Basuma's nearly twice the player defensively that Basuma is. Sorry, that Fred is. That is the issue right here, ladies and gents. Right there. We all know it. And it's no slight on McTominay and Fred. I've said it before, man. They're okay players. But Solskjaer's digging his own grave. Victor, I can see you in the comments there. I know that's something that you feel. A lot of you feel it. I feel it as well. I've said it like 3-4 times in videos. Solskjaer needs to stop sticking with McTominay and Fred. Now, look, if Matic was 5 years younger, as you can see, Matic right here on 60%, Matic will be playing every single week. Sorry. I had some sort of illness the last 10 days. It's getting on my nerves. And before you ask, it's not the Rona. It's not the Rona. McTominay and Fred, come on, man. Come on. You're playing two defensive midfielders there who are not defensive midfielders. Lo and behold, they can't be defensive midfielders. Fred is a more attacking midfielder. McTominay is a natural number 10. They are both box-to-box midfielders. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again now. That's why I was a little bit frustrated with Manchester United re-signing Cristiano Ronaldo. I might do a video on this specifically. It's not because we re-signed Ronaldo. Look, he's the greatest of all time. It's Ronaldo. It's the fact that we were told all summer that we needed to sell players before we could buy players, and that's why we didn't sign a central midfielder, and then we signed Ronaldo. So it goes to show that the club was lying to us, that the money was there all along. It's that the club didn't want to sign a defensive midfielder. That's either Solskjaer deciding that we don't need to sign a defensive midfielder, or the club said to him, no, you're not getting a defensive midfielder. Neither one I particularly enjoy. They're both bad situations. But that's why I'm a little bit annoyed. And just seeing that there, and we've seen it all season, man. Like McTominay and Fred are they're tier 4. They are tier 4 as far as defensive midfielders go, right? Neither of them are defensive midfielders. It's a bit like playing Anderson in defensive midfield. Although he was probably slightly better. It's just not right. So Solskjaer has to just move away from it. So as much as I can say that I was slightly annoyed that we didn't sign a defensive midfielder, X, Y, Z, Solskjaer still is sort of making it more difficult for himself by continuing to play them. Benny, you're saying give Matic the first 50 minutes and sub him with either Fred or McTominay. If Matic was fit enough to play the games, he would be playing the games. All we saw there really was Matic coming on for the last 10 minutes against Villarreal. Other than that, he's not really been there. It strikes me as he must not be fit enough, because from a tactical perspective, playing Matic there alongside Pogba is a far stronger midfield option. Now, I can see in the comments here, so many people are saying, well, why don't we switch formation? We can't switch away from a 4-2-3-1 until we've got someone that we can trust in the one. Solskjaer, for the first time against Villarreal, we switched it up. We allowed McTominay to play on his own in that role. And we conceded more clear-cut chances in that game than we have conceded in any other game this season. So that's a game which, in the same way that the 6-1 against Spurs sort of left a scarred memory for Solskjaer, it won't leave a scarred memory for Solskjaer and the coaching staff, because we won the game. But it will be like, that didn't work. We really need to work on that in the training ground more and more and more before we try it again. So don't expect to see United playing a 4-3-3 in the Premier League anytime soon. It was a risk against Villarreal. It was a risk that didn't get punished because Cristiano Ronaldo came up with the 94th minute winner. But it should have been punished far more if David De Gea wasn't in such incredible form. And that's the issue. Part of me still really genuinely feels Solskjaer wants to switch to a 4-3-3. But at the same time, part of me would say, well, if he really wanted to switch, he would have bought a central defensive midfielder this summer. It's such a confusing situation. You don't really know where to point the finger completely. Do you point it just at Solskjaer for sticking with Freddie McTominay? Do you point it with the fact that Matic isn't fit enough to play in that role on his own? Do you point it at the club for not signing a central midfielder this summer? And I think if we had signed a central midfielder, someone like Basuma, and not Ronaldo, I think it would have made more of a significant impact on the style of play that we play every single week than Ronaldo has. And I'm not here to feed any negative Ronaldo slander. It's just that's genuinely my opinion. That's how critical I thought signing a central defensive midfielder was this summer. And speaking about Ronaldo, this is something that's come out yesterday, or last 24 hours, I suppose, on Fergie and him saying to Khabib Nurmagomedov, he was saying there was a video that's come out. Basically, he mouthed to him and said, "Look, you always start your best players," which was sort of his way of saying, "Look, Ronaldo should have started." And it's become front page news. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. What's your reaction to that? Do you think Ronaldo is right? Sorry, Fergie is right. Do you think that Ronaldo should have started? I'm going to head down to these comments here and asking. I'm losing my chain of thought. Seeing what your reaction is to that question I've just asked. Sam, come on, man. He's the one making decisions. Of course, Ole is to blame. It's simple and clear that Fred and McTominay don't work. He needs to adapt and change the midfield. He does need to change it. Malps, you're saying point the finger at Ole and his coaches. Carl Baldwin, you're saying VDB and Matic is not my first choice, but try something different. Hey, look, we've tried Fred and McTominay. We've tried Fred and Pogba. We've tried Matic and Fred. We've tried Matic and McTominay. We've tried everything, apart from Donny van der Beek in that role. Why are you disturbing our peace? Allow us to forget it about these 2 weeks. It's almost like this is my channel. I'm speaking about Manchester United every single day. So go down here. Let me see. Right, let's go back over here and let's speak about Ronaldo. Let me see what you think about that. As always, as I said, look, if you're new to United People's TV, please subscribe. It's going to be slow and there's not going to be that many people watching because it's the international week. I tell you what, man, football fans are fickle. As soon as we win, everyone wants to talk about it. As soon as we lose, I'm not Arsenal fan TV. You're not going to get you're not going to get United fan on here embarrassing himself with a loud opinion. I've never agreed with fan cams. I did fan cams at the start of United People's TV, right at the beginning, because it was the trend. You couldn't really do a fan channel without doing it. But I've got rid of it for a long time. I hate those over-the-top reactions because it doesn't reflect well on United. Other people might enjoy it laughing at you for your reaction, but I don't ever want to be a channel that feeds that sort of negative feeling towards my club. I want to try and represent my club how I think it should be represented, and that's not with shouty fan cams. Anyway, that was a bit of a rant. Jay Lings fan. What are you doing down here, Jay Lings? Should be training. Why Ole wants McTominay at number 6, the Matic Ole is clueless. It's because of all the options that we do have. I said at the start of the season. I put that down as sort of the most likely compromise because Matic is not fit enough to play 90 minutes every game, every week. Therefore, in the options that we've got, McTominay is probably the most likely to be able to operate in that role. But as we saw there against Villarreal, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. Let's go down here. Let me see what you're thinking about. Look, Victor, you're saying Ronaldo should always start simple. Shakes, you're saying Fergie was right. Only a tactical coach would see that Ronaldo was needed to start. Fergie didn't always start his best players. I remember multiple times in the early 2020 giving off about why Fergie wasn't playing his strongest team, rotating. It's kind of a good point there, RD man. And I'll be honest, and I've said this as well. I thought that not starting Ronaldo was vindicated in that first 45 minutes. I actually thought we got it spot on. I'll be honest. I thought, given how that United 45 minutes against Everton, the opening 45 minutes was one of the most controlled 45 minutes we've had. In possession, playing through the zones, transitions, good, got the goal 1-0 up. And then he brought Ronaldo and Sancho on both before the 60th minute. The problem wasn't who didn't start against Everton. The problem was how United finished against Everton. Two very different things. So I don't really I think Solskjaer was vindicated not to start Ronaldo. All right. And had we gone through and got the 1-0, it would have been like a masterstroke by Fergie, not by Solskjaer. Wow, look at that decision by Solskjaer. But United's players there in that second half, we brought on Ronaldo and Sancho. We had more than enough to control that game, but our team was not capable of it. That's got nothing to do with the fact that Ronaldo didn't start. And as he said up there, look, Fergie didn't always start his best players. So I think he's sort of like, it's not really particularly true. He didn't do it. And I personally think that Solskjaer was vindicated not to start Ronaldo simply because he brought him on before the 60th minute. That was a proactive substitution by Solskjaer. At a time when the momentum was with us, he then put Ronaldo and Sancho on to keep that momentum going. And we could have had a second, and we didn't obviously get the second, but I think it was fine not to start that game. That's my own opinion anyway. Why can't we drop Bruno into the mid? Isn't he a natural number 8, says Garen. Do you really want to take Bruno away from, I suppose, his most strongest part of the pitch? It's an interesting question. You can let me know in the comments. Could Bruno drop in deeper? Could that be a bit of a solution to our midfield? You let me know what you think about that in the comments. Jonathan, he doesn't give a valid reason why I didn't start Ronaldo. You don't rest him. He played all games for Portugal at the Euros. Send him exhausted to Portugal squad after the game. Ronaldo does not press. We've seen that he's literally the bottom of the pressing stats for every top striker in the Premier League. It's not his game. We wanted to play with the press. Not saying that at the same time. Why would you then start Martial instead of Lingard if you really wanted to play the press? That would be a fair criticism to have. But we were 1-0 up at halftime and Martial scored. Let's go. LD, man, I personally don't think that Ollie's tactics setups are the issue. It's player execution in key moments. You don't generate all those big chances in that stat unless your system tactics is right. Now, I am not going to support 100% of that comment because clearly our tactics and system are not 100% right. Obviously, we're making enough chances. The West Ham game in particular, and was it Villarreal? No, it wasn't Villarreal. It was Aston Villa. Had like 50 plus shots overall between the two games. Probably about 20 plus of them were blocked, I think. But we're creating chances in this system. The problem is we're not controlling and holding the game enough. We're like hanging on to the coattails of games. Instead of playing how Manchester United play, we let the opposition sort of dictate the tempo and we jump in and jump out. Jump in and jump out. And when we jump in and we do it right, oh, it's sexy as hell. When we jump in and do it wrong, it's like frustrating. And when we jump out, we sit on the back foot and we have to watch the other team play against United rather than the other way around. That's the frustration that people have. They don't want to be a jump in, jump out. They don't want to be a Moments FC. They want to be a sort of, this is our film, we're putting it on, and you can come and watch it. And then if you want to sort of like fight against us, have a shot, blah, blah, blah. That's what United fans want us to be, the leader, the conductor of the orchestra, instead of going to someone else's orchestra. And you know what I'm trying to get at here? My analogies are a bit poop this morning, but Cavani's a world-class player. He deserves to start, says Thomas. Good morning to you, Thomas. How are you doing? Cavani, he'll start plenty of games this season. It's been a year now since Cavani came. Been a cracking year and a terrible year for everyone, really, COVID-wise, but a cracking year to enjoy it and watch Cavani and the impact. He scored 15 goals, I think, last year. He was great. Would you start Rashford, Martial, and Lingard on the right? Just about understood that comment. My front three, I'm going to be doing my best 11 when Rashford's back. Just before Rashford's back. So next week, maybe early next week, I'm going to do my ideal starting 11 because it's changed from the start of the season. Our needs have changed. Our form has changed. So there's definitely going to be a bit of a change to do with how our midfield and our whole team should be set up from Leicester onwards, in my opinion. Victor and Cavani, Ronaldo, Sancho should be the front three versus Leicester. What we need to see against Leicester is a press. Ronaldo will be starting there. So who are the two best players there to come in and do the press? Other than him, probably Cavani and Rashford. But where are you going to play Cavani? You're going to play Cavani up front? It's a bit annoying, really. I want to play Cavani because of his pressing game, but he's a centre forward. And we have to play one centre forward in the current style of what we've got. I've always said a 4-2-2-2 would suit United. We've still got those two holding midfielders. Trust me, I don't want us to play with two holding midfielders, but we will. So why am I going to kid myself and say, oh, we should play a 4-3-3 and we never play it anyway. So we're going to play with two holding midfielders, which leaves us with two real options, 4-2-3-1 or a 4-2-2-2. Two holding midfielders, two attacking midfielders, playing with a little bit of width, and two strikers. I think that would really suit United. But that's Bruno Fernandes maybe, and maybe Rashford on the left-hand side. Maybe then drop Pogba in alongside McTominay or Pogba alongside Fred. And then you've got Cavani and Ronaldo up front. There's plenty of options that we could have. I'll do a video on this because obviously it's good. It's good to have these sorts of conversations and debate. And that's what I'm saying. We all need to try and focus on where we think we can improve the team. Just have conversations about it rather than just shouting, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's not good enough. Get him sacked. He's not going to get sacked. He is not going to be sacked. Chris, you would like to see Ronaldo and Cavani playing. I think we all would at some point, but I don't really know how they both fit in. As I said, that 4-2-2-2 is probably the most likely, but I'm not sure. Jonathan, you're defending Ole with his team selection, so now you must expect Martial to start the next game. I don't. Ronaldo starts every league game for me, and we are not a pressing team at all. Stop saying we will press when we don't. I mean, we are a pressing team. Solskjaer has built that into it. We very much pre-Ronaldo, we always pressed. Bruno presses. Rashford presses. Lingard presses. Greenwood presses. Cavani, he's the king of pressing. Man United are a pressing team. And Ronaldo jars that. That's why it's a little bit difficult to fit him in the same style. But I don't want Ronaldo to start pressing, man. Save your legs for in and around the box, man. Don't you dare just be chasing balls down. Leave that down for Greenwood. Leave that down for Rashford. Leave that down for everywhere else. But I want to see the balanced front. The most balanced front three I think we're going to see this season is Rashford on the left, is Ronaldo up front, and Jadon Sancho on the right-hand side. For me, that is the most balanced team you can get. Thomas there with the best suggestion of the day. Become a member if you want, ladies and gents. Smash the like button. Look, as you can see, I genuinely do try and make this as interactive as possible here on United People's TV, more so than on any other United YouTube channel. If you join, become a member, it's only like a couple of quid a month. It's your way of supporting the channel, helping me do more videos, grow the channel, bring more things, do more giveaways. So if you would, hit that join button down below. If you're watching on Facebook, there's also a link in the description of this video. You can click that. Again, price of a pint. There's a private members chat for Facebook. There's a private members chat for members. There's private stuff. Got some merch launching soon. I'm working on that. Don't worry about that. You're going to get discounts on that as a member too. But hey, if you'd like to become part of the family, get involved, please join as a member. That's that little plug aside. Hey, look, I can see there's so many conversations going on about Manchester United's starter play, about the formation. I'm going to be doing videos on them during the international break. I'm going to be doing a video on Gary Neville's best 11 that he chose and the question marks around that. And I'm going to do a video on my best 11. Jonathan, you're saying the press lasts about 20 minutes. It does not last the whole game, but you're looking at maybe Liverpool in their pomp with Jesus Christ, with Klopp, as to a team that's really can hold that for 90 minutes. It's very, 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 very difficult to hold that sort of level for a whole game. Now, there's obviously something that all of you want Manchester United to do. And let's play Donny van de Beek. Victor saying drop Mason. He's been wasteful and selfish. Cavani in. I mean, he's had a bad game or two, but geez, he started the season in phenomenal form. Don't try and slate Greenwood as wasteful or selfish. I like the selfish aspect of his game. You need that as a striker. But anyway, Donny van de Beek, well, he's not playing. And speaking about him, Everton's director of football, Marcel Brands, confirmed their interest in Donny van de Beek. It is, of course, a pity for Donny. He is a very good player, no doubt about it. Such a boy wants to play and wants to return to the national team. And according to Fabrizio, Donny van de Beek's current plan is to leave Manchester United in January. I've already said this. I'm going to do a video on this. I'm actually probably going to do a video this week looking at the full story of Van de Beek. I have to do that. It's quite a difficult video to do. A lot of research has to go into it, but I want to do it. A full story of Van de Beek until this point. And I also want to do another video next week. I've said it all along. I want Donny van de Beek to leave Manchester United. I want him to leave for himself now, because it's clear that he's just getting wasted. And I don't want to see. If he was a dick, I wouldn't care that much. If he was Angel Di Maria, I wouldn't give a shit. But I've seen nothing but positive vibes from Donny. I've seen nothing but a hard-working individual striving for his opportunity in a team which is desperate for a midfielder who is still being overlooked. And it's almost offensive at that point. It's almost offensive. It's like you would rather stick with Freddie McTominay than give me a chance. That's how little you rate me. Wow. And it must be really mentally a struggle for Donny now, given everything that's happened, given how our midfield is playing, and for him not to still not be getting in the team. Just let him go, man. Just let him go. Don't ruin his career. Do not ruin his career. I said it all along that it would suit Manchester United more to keep Donny van de Beek, have a play like that in your squad. It would be lovely. But I don't want to see him get his career completely wasted at our club. Why did we buy Donny, says Top Dog. I'll be honest. I think it was a club signing. I've always said that all along. I don't think Solskjaer wanted to sign him. I think it was an opportunity that Woodward saw to sign a player for cheap in the current market, and we took it. Simple as that. And you're saying, I don't want Donny to play. I want him to be used in a transfer to bring in a CDM in January. He just doesn't quite fit. He's obviously he's seen as a backup to Bruno and Pogba. And maybe we can look at Donny in the same way that we looked at Kagawa, right? When Kagawa was signed, it was mad excitement about him. For me, Kagawa was signed to replace Rooney. And then Fergie left. And Kagawa was left in a club without Fergie that Rooney stayed in. And Kagawa just didn't get the game time in the role that he wanted to play. And Kagawa ultimately left Manchester United, and it was a frustrating signing. I think you can probably say the same thing for Donny van de Beek and Paul Pogba. I think when Manchester United signed Donny van de Beek, there was at least one eye looking on the fact that Paul Pogba could be leaving. Now, he's still at the club. He didn't leave in the summer. No one predicted the coronavirus. Had that not happened, I think maybe Real Madrid or somebody or Juventus could have come in for Pogba. And Donny van de Beek would have therefore been that Pogba replacement. But instead, he's suffered the consequence of Paul Pogba staying at the club and Bruno just being Bruno and being brilliant. And he's therefore not been able to play in maybe the role that he was bought to play in. And therefore being forced into a situation where Solskjaer maybe didn't want him to play alongside Fred or McTominay in midfield. That's probably the case. Although a lot of us may argue, say, look, man, with Fred and McTominay, how are you not giving Donny van de Beek a chance to play there? Because we need strengthening there. You've got a player there that might not work, but seeing as we saw him against Young Boys, a quietly impressive 45 minutes, and West Ham, I would say an okay performance in midfield. Why to not start him there and at least give him the chance? Hell, if you're going to give McTominay the chance of playing in a sole defensive midfielder in a 4-3-3 against Villarreal in the Champions League, then why would you not give Van der Beek a chance to play in that double pivot alongside McTominay or Fred? I probably would argue it would end up being Fred, simply because Fred is more tenacious in the tackle. Although, as we saw by the defensive duels, nobody's worse than Fred. Nobody is worse than Fred. I feel for Donny, says Liberty. Ole is ruining his career. He should leave. I think he will leave. I think he will leave, and I think he should leave. And as I said, I'm going to do a video on that probably next week. Future. I believe Donny when he said he could play as a number 6. Donny was basically begging at that point. He's like, I can play number 6, number 8, number 12, number 94, number 33, number 69. Any position you want me to play, Ole? No, I've got it. I think at that point, he was basically just doing whatever he could possibly do to get into that position and to get into that role. But Solskjaer just does not see it that way. And it's definitely the thing that confuses me the most is the almost agenda now from Solskjaer and his staff against Donny van de Beek. It's strange, isn't it? Victor, how you doing there, buddy? Causing problems in the comments, I can see again, sir. You carry on, man. Everyone's entitled to your opinions. Just try everybody not to spam in the comments, not to say, look, but you're allowed to say what you say. That's what I say here on United People's TV. Victor, what you're saying? VDB deserves to start. You can see the interview with Rio. He wants to play matches anywhere for United. 6, 8, 10, anywhere. He's a proper United player. Give him a chance. Why is Scott and Fred playing? Look, I can't disagree with anything you're saying there, Victor. You are the voice of everybody, but with that comment that you've left there. Play him number 6, play him number 8, play him number 10, play him somewhere. Something has to change. This is what I'm saying, man. Solskjaer is not being sacked. Phelan's just got a new contract. McKenna and Carrick are in talks over a new contract. Something has to change. And therefore, playing Donny in midfield instead of Fred or McTominay, that's a change. That's an attempt to try something different. Playing McTominay as a pure number 6 against Villarreal with Pogba and Bruno in front, that was a change. That didn't work. It did not work whatsoever. Matic in that role, yes, it would work, but Matic is just not, he's just not fit enough and young enough to play that. It's a real shame, honestly. Matic 5 years ago, if that was 5 years younger Matic in that team right now, our midfield would be complete. Matic sitting behind Pogba and Bruno would be one of the fiercest midfield threes in world football. Simple as that. Brian, you're saying Neves or Basuma, Rice or Phillips. There's going to be a lot of players that could come into this and improve Manchester United's midfield. But as much as we all want it to be Donny van de Beek, I just don't think Solskjaer is ever going to really play him there. What's the question there? Dave Lawless. Come on, Sam, answer the question. If Ole was sacked, would he get another top job? Now, this is honestly, no offense to you, Dave, it's honestly one of the dumbest questions I ever see about Solskjaer. You question whether Solskjaer would get another top job when people like Big Sam and Alan Pardew and all these crap managers repeatedly get jobs in the Premier League, and you think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to struggle to get a job if he leaves Man United? It's madness. He will not struggle to get a job in the Premier League. Not even slightly. Not even slightly. CM watching from Australia. Good morning to you, sir. Good evening, actually, isn't it? Fred should not play anymore with United. Look, Fred should play for Manchester United. McTominay should play for Manchester United at times and in games where it suits us. Trust me, away at Liverpool, Fred and McTominay will probably operate as a good central defensive midfield pairing. They'll do very well to break up the Liverpool play and to try and spray it elsewhere. But there are games where it does not work, and that's the problem with Solskjaer. His system at the moment isn't flexible enough to get Fred and McTominay in or out. We should be able to, like we saw against Villarreal, for example, whenever they were out of possession, Villarreal sat in a 4-4-2. As soon as they got possession, Danjuma switched and went wide left, switched more to a 4-3-3. And by doing that, you drag the players out of their defensive shape, going, oh, crap, now somewhere else. And that's what caused United so many problems. That fluidity to move between styles in and out of possession. Let's go down here and look at the comments. He'll be at Newcastle next season, says Top Dog. How Steve Bruce is a man who still... Look, that's what I'm saying, man. Steve Bruce still gets jobs constantly in the Premier League, and some of you really think that Solskjaer is going to struggle to get a job. Fair enough. Fair enough, guys. I do not think that he will struggle to get a job. Mashuri coming in with the old school. Lindelof as a CDM. It's not going to solve our problems. It's not going to solve our problems. Luke. Donny doesn't press. No aerial threat. No interception stats or tackling stats. Hell, of course he doesn't have interception stats or tackling stats because he's not been given the chance to play in midfield as an interceptor or a tackler. And I actually thought it was quite good when he was playing with a bit of a more aggressive press. I think it was against West Ham last 15-20. Where he was really winning the ball high up the pitch, actually. David, you're saying, hi, Sam Phillips is our man. What a brilliant talent. Giving him a big contract. You can look at Phillips. You can look at Basuma. You can look at Declan Rice. You can look at Ruben Neves. You can look at Wilfred Ndidi. You can look at, my God, so many people that would improve this midfield. And that was the case during the summer, and we didn't sign one. Simple as that. I know that Lindelof started off as a CDM, but it doesn't mean that he's going to be a good CDM for Manchester United in the Premier League. It's very different doing that for Benfica in the academy team or however he came through. Lim, you left the super chat, but you didn't say what was in it. The thing that frustrates me the most, to be honest, says Corey, we have an identity of box-to-box midfielders, but no one in the club that can play like that. Look, we do. We've got two box-to-box midfielders in Fred and McTominay, who I think are actually okay box-to-box midfielders, but we've got no one, therefore, to protect them when they do play like that. Simple as that. Casper, good morning to you, saying, did I miss a lot? Did you miss a lot? How dare you? You've missed everything. You've missed what? 43 minutes of elite conversation. Meet Bat saying Verratti. Verratti's the king. Verratti is the king. As a quick roundup here, we were speaking about Mike Phelan and his new contract. What's going on there? Apparently I can't put it on. Why is that not there? There we go. Mike Phelan signing a new contract there. We're speaking about Carrick and McKenna potentially getting new deals as well. Speaking about what they're doing in training. Trying to turn McTominay into a defensive midfielder. Well, spoke about stats. Spoke about everything. Hey, look, there's so much we can talk about. It's the international break. As I said, I always see it. It's mad how... It's mad. I suppose it kind of goes with the seasonality of football, but it's so much quieter. No one really wants to watch during the international break. That is the case. I'm not too frustrated about it, though. But I'm going to be doing another video today at 1 p.m. I don't know which one yet. I might do it, might do it on Gary Neville and Cristiano Ronaldo. But Solskjaer is safe, ladies and gents. I've said it all along, and Phelan's new contract proves it. So let's not waste any more time having arguments about Ole out in the comments. All right. You're just wasting your own energy. It's not happening. So let's try and focus that energy on speaking about how Manchester United can improve, can go forward, because that's what we need to focus on, because it's not going to be a new manager right now. But I'll be here. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. Hundreds of comments on Facebook, hundreds of comments on YouTube. If you are new on either, drop a like on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to United People's TV if you are new in town. I'll be back here at 1 p.m. Not with the live video, but with another video. And I'll be here tomorrow morning at 9:30 as well with all the latest news for another big interactive show. But thank you very much for all joining in, and have a great Tuesday.